whatever, we got married anyway. And about a year later, it's 2 weeks after our first anniversary, it's date night. We're on our way out. She sat me down for a second and said, hang on, before we go out, I got to tell you just this one thing real quick. You probably already know it. This is what we call foreshadowing. And I was like, no, what? What is it? I love you so much right now. What could it possibly be? And she goes, well, I have been completely miserable for the entire year that we've been married. And now the feelings I had on our wedding day are completely gone, and they're never coming back. So this weekend, you know how we were going to go to that wedding in Seattle, your buddy's wedding? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, you're doing that alone. And when you come back, all my stuff will be gone, and I will have moved out. And like, I'm compressing for the show here, but not much. You know, like the actual event took like 5 whole minutes, you know? And I got to tell you, it is real weird to be at a wedding 48 hours after you find out yours didn't take. And I started seeing this psychiatrist, and the only guy available to a person with my insurance was this very tiny, like little beige man from some Eastern European country. I don't know where. It starts with a U, and there's no vowels for the rest of the word. But he related to me entirely with Breaking Bad metaphors, which turns out is my love language, you know? No, you know that part in Breaking Bad where Skylar just like stands up and calmly walks into the pool to just drown herself at the birthday party? I saw that and I had just been ugly crying. Ugly crying. And I was telling him about it. I'm ugly crying again in his office. And he's like, oh, God, please, here. Hands me a tissue. He's like, here, dry your tear, please. I'm aware that this is a crappy Eastern European accent, but it's the only one white people are allowed to do on stage anymore. So let me have it. What is wrong? Tell me. And I was like, well, what if, I'm just sitting here talking about comedy all the time and she can't take it. So she just gets up and just wants to get out just by any way possible, just drowning herself. And he goes, no, listen to me, listen. In this situation, you are the Skylar. Yeah? You are drowning, your needs are unmet, we are getting you out of this pool together. You should hear what this guy can do with The Sopranos, all right? This guy's a miracle worker. And I was like, I just want to be happy. And he's like, okay. You know, he writes a little note. And I went back into my life, doing all the things that I thought would make me happy, right? They had made me happy before, slightly different now. I started trying to do some comedy about it. You know, I was doing the show, and I thought I had some new jokes. And I got kind of through the premise part of the jokes. And then while I was on stage, I just started crying. I was like, just hang on, give me a second. It's going to get real funny, I swear. And I don't know if it is fortunate or unfortunate, but there were only 2 people at the show in a room that held 80 people. They're both sitting right down front. And I'm just like, just come on, let's just get it together. And eventually, one of the guys just goes, screw this, I'm leaving. And he stood up so fast, he knocked his own chair over. And we all heard him just go, like up the stairs. And the other guy felt so bad, he gave me a standing ovation all by himself, which was worse than the first guy. Right? Just what kind of David Lynch life is that? You know, a man stands in the spotlight crying, another man faces him clapping. Somewhere in the distance, a little person dances, you know. No. And then I was like, well, let me try exercising. And so I would get up every morning and go to the park and sprint until my body did not work anymore. And then I would crawl home and take some protein powder and kale and grind it up and just chug it and be like, okay, the next 23 and a half hours are anyone's game. But I'm starting out on top. I've nourished myself. I've exercised. Let's see where it goes. Downhill every time, as it turns out. But I was doing it so much, I started dropping a bunch of weight, started getting into shape. And then I started recognizing people at the park over and over again. There's always like that one guy who's like doing push-ups next to the steps with no shirt on for some reason. And he's like, he would wave. And then I would see the lady over there with the rubber bands. I never figured out what she was doing. And there's all the CrossFit people who are just too excited to be exercising in front of everyone. So that's a weird form of exhibitionism. But we would all wave and be like, "Hi, how are you? Thank you." And it was great. But I got to tell you, like, I learned that anybody who is running with that level of intensity is not just running for their health. They are running from something. You can't exercise like that and have everything in your life be going fine. At this point, when I see like a really fit dude or a chick with a rockin' body, I'm just like, I hope you're getting the help you really need. Like, you're not going to outrun what your dad did. You need to sit still and feel that. But yeah, and then I was like, well, it's not that I am at all ready to date, but I feel like I'm one of the completely damaged dudes in New York City that is not at all ready to date and just out there totally doing it anyway. Let's just join some apps and wreck some trains, right? Let's get out here and cry into some cocktails and see what's what. And at first, I was like, well, I'm in my 40s. I am getting divorced. I own a very cool leather jacket. Let me just lean into this stereotype and set my search parameters for women in their early 20s. Every woman over 30 in this room laughed. No, it's sad. It is tragic. I just feel like if you're going to be a stereotype, be the whole thing for a second, Do it all. And, it sucks. That's why you don't do that. It's not that I'm not attracted to women in their 20s at all. Far from it. It's just that I've learned I cannot maintain an erection around anyone that doesn't really understand loss and regret. Can you be cool if I accidentally fill up your belly button with my tears? I was going down on this girl one time, and then I missed my wife, and there was a little lake. And I didn't feel like she handled it very well. Right, what I'm really into in my whole life is women who are in their 30s who were liberal arts majors and are now watching their dreams and tattoos start to give out, That's my deal right there. Like, if you got a blurry sleeve and half a screenplay, hell yeah, that's what I'm into. You've got a problem in your third act? It probably started in your first act. Let's get some coffee and talk about it. So I'm telling my psychiatrist all about all of this. He's like, okay, great. You're exercising, you're doing comedy, you're dating. Don't know how that's going, but okay. It sounds like you're doing good. This is great. And he shuts a notebook, and I was like, yeah, follow-up question. How come I'm completely miserable all of the time? And he just looks at me for a second. He goes, why you should be happy? Your wife leave you by surprise 3 months ago? You're thrilled about it? I do not treat psychopath. And I was like, yeah, but I thought there was a point. It's like, learn how to be happy. He's like, Americans and happiness. Gross. Americans think you get in the car, go to happy store, see happy on shelf, buy happy, take it home, put it on shelf at home, have happiness. Yeah. Never works that way. And I was like, well, how does happiness work? And he goes, happiness is like squirrel eating from the palm of your hand. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, exactly, never happens. Not supposed to happen. Weird if it happens. What is the worst way to catch squirrel? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes running around the forest, being like, come on, squirrel, come here. All needy? Ugh, gross. I was like, well, how do you do it? And he goes, hey, like this. Sit in the sun, stick out your hand, right? Hold some food. Maybe the squirrel will come. Maybe it doesn't. Otherwise, watch some TV, exercise, get some food. Squirrel come, squirrel doesn't come, doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Focus on healthy, happy will come. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here.